Fake HOA cops accused a teen of vandalism. He was painting a tribute to his father. The air in Willow Creek estates carried the scent of freshly cut grass and blooming jasmine, a perfect veneer for a neighborhood obsessed with appearances. Nestled at the edge of this gated community, where every house looked like it had been plucked from a magazine, was a small, unassuming shed. It belonged to the community park, a patch of green that was more for show than for play. The shed's faded wooden walls were an eyesore to the residents, but to 17-year-old Ethan Morales, they were a canvas. Ethan was a lanky kid with dark eyes that held more weight than his years. He'd moved to Willow Creek 2 years ago with his mother, Maria, after his father, Javier, died in a construction accident. Javier had been a painter, not of houses, but of murals that told stories of struggle and hope. He'd taught Ethan how to hold a brush, how to let colors speak when words failed. After his death, Ethan carried on his father's passion, sketching in notebooks and painting whenever he could. The shed in the park was his latest project, a secret he'd been working on for weeks under the cover of dusk. Willow Creek was ruled by the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, a group led by Cheryl Baxter, a woman in her 50s whose polished exterior hid a relentless need for control. Cheryl had lived in the estates for a decade, her life a carefully curated display of perfection. Her lawn flawless, her SUV gleaming, her social media filled with hashtags about community pride. She saw herself as the guardian of Willow Creek's image, and anything that deviated from her vision was a personal affront. To enforce her rules, Cheryl had created the Willow Watch, a volunteer patrol of residents who roamed the neighborhood in branded vests, armed with clipboards and an inflated sense of authority. They called themselves HOA cops, a term that made Ethan roll his eyes when he overheard it at the community pool. The Willow Watch was tasked with catching rule breakers, kids skateboarding on sidewalks, dogs barking too loudly, or, in Ethan's case, anyone daring to touch HOA property without permission. Ethan's shed project wasn't just art, it was a tribute to Javier. He'd been sneaking out at twilight, painting a mural of a vibrant sunrise over a cityscape, with a figure in the foreground holding a paintbrush aloft. The figure was Javier, his face rendered in soft golds and blues, a quiet homage to the man who'd shaped Ethan's world. Ethan knew the HOA wouldn't approve. They had strict rules about alterations to community property, but he figured he'd finish before anyone noticed. He was wrong. It began with a confrontation on a humid August evening. Ethan was adding details to the mural, his hands streaked with paint, when a golf cart screeched to a halt behind him. Two Willow Watch members, a wiry man named Todd and a woman named Diane, stepped out, their flashlights blinding him. "What do you think you're doing?" Todd barked, pointing at the mural. "This is vandalism." Ethan froze, his brush dripping blue onto the grass. "It's not vandalism, it's art. I'm making it better." Diane scoffed, snapping photos with her phone. "You're defacing HOA property. You're in big trouble, kid." Ethan tried to explain, his voice shaking. "It's for my dad. He passed away. I'm not hurting anything." But Todd wasn't listening. He radioed Cheryl, who arrived minutes later, her heels clicking on the pavement. Cheryl's eyes narrowed as she surveyed the mural, her lips curling in distaste. To her, it wasn't art. It was chaos, a rebellion against her carefully ordered world. "Ethan Morales, right?" she said, her tone icy. "You've got some nerve. This stops now, and you're paying to have this eyesore repainted." "It's not an eyesore," Ethan snapped, his fist clenching. "It's my dad." Cheryl raised an eyebrow. "Your personal issues don't give you the right to break our rules. You'll hear from us." The next day, a letter arrived at Ethan's house accusing him of vandalism and demanding $2,000 to restore the shed. Maria, a single mother working double shifts as a nurse, was furious, not at Ethan, but at the HOA. She marched to Cheryl's office. The letter crumpled in her hand. "My son was honoring his father," Maria said, her voice trembling. "You can't punish him for that." Cheryl leaned back in her chair, unmoved. "Rules are rules, Miss Morales. Your son should have asked permission. We're protecting the community's aesthetic." Maria left the office defeated, but Ethan wasn't ready to give up. He kept painting, sneaking out at night to finish the mural. Each stroke was defiance, a way to keep his father's memory alive. But the Willow Watch was relentless. They increased their patrols, staking out the park like it was a crime scene. One night, Todd caught Ethan again, this time grabbing his arm and dragging him to the ground. "You're done, kid," Todd growled, confiscating Ethan's paint cans. "Next time, we're calling the cops." Ethan's heart pounded, but he didn't fight back. He limped home, his jeans torn, and told Maria everything. She hugged him tightly, her eyes wet. "We'll fight this, mijo. They can't take this from you." The HOA escalated their campaign. At the next community meeting, Cheryl displayed photos of the mural, calling it graffiti and Ethan a delinquent. She spun a story of a troubled teen wreaking havoc, ignoring his grief, his intent. The residents, most of whom had never met Ethan, ate it up. They whispered about problem families and lowering property values. Flyers went up around the neighborhood, warning of vandalism and urging residents to report suspicious activity. But not everyone was swayed. Amara Patel, a 20-something graphic designer who'd recently moved to Willow Creek, had seen Ethan's mural during a jog. She'd stopped, struck by its beauty, and posted a photo on X with the caption, "This is art, not vandalism. Who's with me?" The post gained traction, drawing attention from local artists and activists. Amara visited Ethan's house, bringing him a sketchbook as a peace offering. "I saw what you're doing," she said, sitting on his porch. "It's incredible. Why are they so mad?" Ethan shrugged, his voice quiet. "They don't get it. They don't want to." Amara nodded. "Then let's make them see." She helped Ethan document the mural, taking high-quality photos and sharing them online. She also dug into the HOA's rules, discovering that the shed wasn't even on their official property. It was part of a public park leased to the HOA, meaning their claim over it was shaky at best. Armed with this, Amara and Maria confronted Cheryl at the HOA office, demanding the accusations against Ethan be dropped. Cheryl dismissed them with a wave. "You're wasting my time. The mural's coming down, and Ethan's paying for it." The harassment intensified. The Willow Watch began tailing Ethan, following him to school and back, their golf carts idling outside his house. Someone slashed the tires on Maria's car, leaving a note that read, "Control your kid." Ethan's classmates, egged on by their parents' gossip, started calling him the Vandal, snickering in hallways. Each blow chipped away at Ethan's resolve, but he refused to let the mural go. It was all he had left of his father. Maria hired a lawyer, a pro bono advocate named Rachel, who specialized in community disputes. Rachel warned that the HOA was overstepping, likely banking on Ethan's youth and Maria's exhaustion to bully them into submission. "They're counting on you backing down," she said. "We need to hit back, hard." Ethan nodded, his jaw tight. "I'm not stopping, not now." The turning point came on a stormy September night. Ethan was at the shed, adding final touches to the mural despite the rain. The sunrise now glowed with fiery reds and oranges, Javier's figure standing tall against the cityscape. Ethan was alone, or so he thought, until headlights cut through the darkness. 3 Willow Watch members, led by Todd, stormed toward him, their faces twisted with anger. "You're finished, Morales," Todd shouted, grabbing a can of gray paint from their golf cart. Before Ethan could react, Todd splashed the paint across the mural, obliterating Javier's face. Ethan lunged forward, shoving Todd away, but the other 2 grabbed him, pinning him to the ground. "Stop!" a voice rang out. It was Amara, her phone recording as she ran toward them. She'd been tipped off by a neighbor who'd seen the Willow Watch mobilizing. "Let him go, or this goes live." Todd hesitated, his eyes darting to the phone. The others released Ethan, who scrambled to his feet, his clothes soaked and his hands shaking. Amara kept recording as Todd tried to justify himself, his voice faltering. "He's breaking the law. We're protecting the community." "You're assaulting a kid," Amara shot back. "This is over." She uploaded the video to X that night, tagging local news outlets and art communities. By morning, it had gone viral, with thousands of comments condemning the HOA's actions. Hashtags like Gigger Save Ethan's Mural and Willow Creek Shame trended, drawing scrutiny from beyond the neighborhood. Reporters descended on Willow Creek, interviewing Ethan and Maria, who shared the story of Javier's life and Ethan's tribute. The backlash was swift. Residents, embarrassed by the negative attention, began questioning Cheryl's leadership. A petition to disband the Willow Watch gained hundreds of signatures. At a tense HOA meeting, Ethan stood before the crowd, his voice steady despite the knot in his stomach. He held up a photo of the mural, now partially restored after volunteers helped him repaint it. "This isn't vandalism," he said, his eyes meeting Cheryl's. "It's my dad. He taught me to create, to make something beautiful out of pain. You tried to take that from me, but you can't take him." In the months that followed, Willow Creek transformed. The Willow Watch was replaced by a community art council, led by Amara, that encouraged creative projects. Ethan's mural became a local landmark, drawing visitors who left flowers and notes at its base. Neighbors who'd once ignored Ethan now stopped by to talk, their eyes softened by newfound respect. Maria, once isolated, found friends among the parents who'd rallied for her son. On a crisp spring morning, Ethan stood before the mural, his brush in hand. The sunrise glowed brighter than ever, Javier's figure whole again. Ethan added a final touch, a small signature in the corner, his name next to his father's. He stepped back, his chest light with something he hadn't felt in years. Peace. The shed, once a forgotten relic, was now a beacon, proof that beauty could triumph over judgment, that a kid with a brush could change a community's heart. And as Ethan walked home, the jasmine-scented air felt different, not like a mask, but like a promise.